Hello everyone, so I know that many of you struggle with asymmetry, underdevelopment, postural issues, or with all of that at once just like I did, but approximately 6 months ago I found a appliance called Revive that claims to improve all of that. So of course I immediately tried it out and I've worn it for 5 months now to fix my asymmetry, my underdevelopment, and all the postural issues. So now I finally have enough experience to show you what exactly Revive does, how it works, and if it's even worth it. I will also show you my progress pictures and share other people testimonies, because currently over 2,000 people use Revive. Also, just in case some of you are not yet familiar with what Revive even is, it's basically an oral splint, or more specifically like a silicone flat plane mouthguard that adds dental height. When I first started wearing a mouthguard, I kind of already knew about oral splints, right? Because they are just being used for fixing posture in PRI, for example. But I know that for someone who never heard of the concept of mouthguard oral splints, it can probably sound unusual and maybe even irrelevant for body biomechanics. But yeah, just the concept of using a mouthguard for healing biomechanics, for improving symmetry and posture, is actually not new at all. There's also a lot of studies done on this topic, so wearing an oral splint is considered safe, okay? But we still didn't really reach consensus on the topic of the effectiveness of oral splints. Now, with that being said, there's still a lot of studies on the effect of oral splints, okay? They're often being used as part of the protocol for resolving, for example, the facial asymmetry, body asymmetry, and just improving bodily health in general. Some of those studies are done better. Some studies have certain flaws and limitations, like every topic, right? But one very nicely done study is a Korean study that's published in the Journal of Korean Medicine in 2019. And in that study, they used a bite down splint. They used flat splint and osteopathic techniques to resolve the facial and body asymmetry in 5 people, and they got amazing results in all 5 of them. I really appreciate that study in particular because, first of all, it was conducted in very controlled settings. They provided exact measurements, x-rays, and all of that just strengthens, the conclusion of that study. So it's basically a very good example of a high quality and well executed study. But before we continue with the effectiveness of the Revive, let's first see who is the Revive even for, because I mentioned in the beginning that I started using it for the asymmetry, for postural issues that I had, literally for the same reasons like those in that Korean study, right? But Revive does much more than just that, which I wasn't necessarily, able to experience all the benefits on myself since I didn't struggle with some things. But Revive is primarily known for healing TMJ, and that's actually how the founder of the Revive, Ken Lever, that's how he came up with it in the first place, because he used it to heal his TMJ. But also other people, they use it to bring the face forward, to straighten the spine. That's Revive is very effective in that, to resolve facial and body asymmetry, and to just better their performance. So people generally experience a very wide range of improvements because Revive basically works by guiding the skull, jaw, and soft tissues into a more optimal position by using gentle external forces, right? And it also ensures stable and even teeth contact, which then stimulates trigeminal nerve, which is responsible for just promoting optimal posture, right? And in case you have like dominant or weak chains of muscles, functional patterns, or any facial and body asymmetry, just working on evening out teeth contact and evening out TMJ load with oral splint showed great results in multiple fields like PRI, physical therapy, and even orthodontistry, right? And this change basically then affects the entire body, biomechanics, nervous system, which are tightly connected, right? And then nervous system is connected to physiology, right? It controls the physiology to a certain degree. So that basically means that nervous system in that process is going to be mediator between biomechanics and physiological pathways. So that process of healing biomechanics, because of that interconnection, comes with a very wide range of positive effects. So to a certain degree, it is gonna be different for everyone, right? Because we all struggle with different consequences of poor biomechanics. For example, I was not able to ever experience the healing power of a mouthguard on TMJ because I never had issues with TMJ. But then again, when it comes to underdevelopment, for example, when it comes to asymmetry, that's where I experienced huge changes and got great results, right? Also, my soft tissue stretched out. I had a lot of tension in my fascia, just in my soft tissue in general. My bones realigned, they took more symmetrical position, and my body pain completely stopped. Because oral splints they promote optimal body posture, right? So overactive muscles will relax. Other than that, my jaw came forward, I got visible jawline and a bigger chin, and my face just got wider, right? So bones pretty much started to align better, not just facial bones, but like entire skull, even temporal bones, lower body. So because of all of that, it's kind of hard for me to isolate, you know, one specific aspect when everything improved at the same time, and I'm still improving, right? I said previously that I never experienced healing in the TMJ area because I never had TMJ issues, right? But I did have severe underdevelopment, and that's basically where I saw the biggest change. Someone with a decently developed face will probably, you know, not see that huge change in forward growth since their jaws are already forward. So everyone's experiences are gonna be different, and everyone will experience positive effects in those areas where they're lacking. Something very specific that I experienced though was a change in my appetite, because for my entire life I was just struggling a lot with food, which would often really make me look underdeveloped. My body type was not muscular at all, so I was always pretty weak, skinny, and whenever I would have to eat, it would literally be because I would feel dizzy, physically weak, you know, lightheaded, and I would have to force myself to eat. Then I just never had that natural appetite, you know, so I would struggle for literally 40 minutes, 1 hour to eat one plate of food, and then when I would finish eating it, I would get lightheaded again because I also had a very fast metabolism. But at the same time, I had no appetite, which meant that my body was just burning calories all the time, but I never felt like eating because I just didn't have that healthy appetite. So that was happening for my entire life. It was just my normal life, but once I started healing biomechanics with a mouthguard, I finally got my appetite back, and literally for the first time in my life, I wanted to eat, not because I felt, you know, bad, physically bad or lightheaded, but because I actually craved food. This probably sounds like not that big of a deal or even silly to some of you, but that was a huge change for me, because before, when I would eat, I would find that food tasty while I was eating, but then later my brain would just never remind me of that food again, and I would just not feel the desire to eat again. So that was basically my relationship with food, and now it's 180 from that. Because my appetite is back, I crave very specific food, I eat before I feel dizzy, before I feel physically weak, and also my body has changed so much because I gained weight, I gained muscles, and like for the first time I always thought literally that I'm just not muscular, but now I have more strength and more muscles than when I used to work out. And also, by the way, my body proportions are completely changed, and this is gonna sound like I'm lying, but I'm fine with that because I know that what I'm saying is actually true. My waist sized down 2 or 3 sizes, and I know because the other day I was shopping for pants and I took shorts 2 sizes smaller, and they were still too big on me. And at the same time, my hips stayed the same, or they got wider, I'm not exactly sure, but my legs are definitely bigger. It's just that like my body changed. I went from skinny, you know, like model type of body, no curves, to kind of like a curvy body, and not just those curves that you get from gaining weight, okay? It's just that my body proportions are just different. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. And this change in my appetite, by the way, and all that happened to me, pretty much I mostly contribute not only to healing biomechanics, but also I think biomechanics in my case impacted the nervous system very positively. And I think that I started being in the parasympathetic state for most of the time, because that's the state in which you have a healthy appetite, you just rest, digest, you know, and your body functions optimally. So that's not even controversial, okay, because nervous system impacts biomechanics, and then biomechanics impact nervous system. But I agree that what I experienced in particular will probably not be that common, right? It was something very specific for my case. But I also know people who claim to heal their nervous system issues, you know, some spectrum disorders, people who improved their skin, complexion. Also, some people say that they got thicker hair, thicker beard, that they expanded the palate, and just got more defined jaw, face, like more prominent cheekbones, right? Also firmer skin in general and less hooded eyelids. Better mood, that's a very common one. Or their midline of the teeth started to align better because of the improved symmetry, right? This is all very highly specific, which just shows us, you know, the impact that biomechanics can have on the body. Now, people are for some reason very shy when it comes to sharing their testimonies and pictures publicly, but thankfully I did get some testimonies that I'm allowed to share publicly. So most people basically talk about positive effect of the Revive on their body posture, how they just managed to, you know, strengthen the spine using Revive, how their body pain caused by TMJ or any spinal injury pretty much stopped either immediately or they feel it less and less each day. People also reported a lot of positive effects on their mood, how they feel much more motivated to just like live, you know, create, work, that their brain fog gets resolved almost immediately, and many of them reported feeling like euphoric, you know, just like laughing a lot, how they can work for longer, just be very focused throughout the day. Then when it comes to structure, they reported like more defined face, more specifically jawline area under the chin, and just, you know, better under eye support. However, older people who struggle with snoring and with weak energy, that's what they report the most. Okay, they consistently report improvements in energy levels and sleep quality because they just stop snoring. There's a lot of pictures, okay, a lot of testimonies, but I'm just not allowed to share all of it. But yeah, people share their experiences daily in the Revive community if you're interested, okay? But those that I mentioned are just the most common ones. I also noticed that younger people, let's say up to 30, they very often report positive effect on the facial structure, which may be because that's why they started Revive, but it also may be because it just works faster the younger you are, right? For example, for me, it worked extremely fast. I was able to see like first results in a month. But yeah, when it comes to using Revive safely, this is gonna be pretty set for everyone, okay? No matter what you're dealing with, pretty much the ideal wear time would be for the entire night and for 1 or 2 hours a day. Depending on your dental arch, crowding, and facial structure, you might experience a pain, okay? Slight pain in certain areas or your teeth, but those are all good signs, okay? It will probably make you not even want to wear it. It will be uncomfortable in the very beginning for some of you. It was for me as well, okay? But what helped me out, I will show you what helped me out, was actually just stretching a mouth guard. So you just stretch the part that causes pressure or the pain, and then you just put it back in, okay? And it will not hurt anymore until a few hours later, and then you just repeat the process until it eventually completely stops, and it will stop, okay? Also, if you're working out, it's recommended to use the Revive during the physical activity, okay? Always, but especially during the physical activity, because that way you'll pretty much just prepare the way that you're using muscles, and that practice will help you with, you know, optimal movements and muscle use. It's also important that you choose the right model for you, because there are 2 Revive models, and the difference is, except for the durability, that R2 has lower aggressiveness on gums, and it's more suitable for mouth breathers and grinders or clenchers, okay? But yeah, if you're not struggling with any of that, then you can probably use like the R1, and you'll probably see your first results, I think, after a month or 2. Because that's when I saw my first results. But again, it may vary, you know, it really depends on what kind of results you're expecting and how old you are. For example, I started when I was 26, like I'm still 26, and I saw my first results in like a month or 2, you know, like big results, let's say. If you're looking for it, also depends on how observant you are, right? I saw like the first results probably after 2 weeks, but it was not noticeable to anyone else, only to me. But yeah, if you're like over 30, you know, your results will be slower, I would say, in regards to facial structure. But then again, there's so many changes, you know, on physiological level, metabolism, mood, everything, that you will see some of those results almost immediately. Also, I highly recommend starting my protocols combined with the Revive, because that's what I did, and the results happen extremely fast for me. So if you're looking for that, if you look for very fast results, you can check out my videos and just, you know, combine the techniques with a mouth guard. And I also want to add that it's usually not recommended to use Revive while having braces, okay? Because we want to avoid those opposing forces on the teeth. But once you take your braces off, then you can use Revive as a retainer. And many people also reported that Revive straightens their teeth on its own, okay? Which I also noticed, but for me it really wasn't that surprising, because obviously if your maxilla is getting wider, your teeth are going to have much more space to align properly, right? And also have in mind that I've been using a mouth guard for 5 months now, and I'm 26. So if you're younger than me, I really believe that your results can be much faster, much more dramatic than mine, especially if you combine it with the techniques that I previously mentioned, like, you know, thumb pulling, centering techniques, and all that I talk about. Then there's literally absolutely no way that you don't improve your structure if you combine all of that, right? And that's coming from me, and I'm very careful with the statements that I make, right? But just everywhere I looked, everything always pointed, you know, to some type of oral splint, And on top of that, I still had to try it out on myself before I felt comfortable enough to share it with you. So please don't take things that I talk about lightly, okay? Again, I will never share anything that I think wouldn't benefit you or anything that I haven't tried out on myself and got amazing results from. Because I know I'm saying all of this because I know there's currently a lot of noise regarding this topic. But yeah, at the end of the day, my goal is to help you, not to debunk those who are just, I guess, not interested on their own, so they have to make content on other creators. People who are doing that are just extremely not competent, not educated or smart enough, to comment on this topic, to interpret studies, let alone draw their own conclusions. Okay, I know that most of you can probably see through what they're doing even without me acknowledging that, but I also know that most people are just not as familiar with the topic of Revive, oral splints, and all of that. So I will definitely film more on the effect of oral splints and how it basically works, just so you can get more comfortable with the concept itself, because I know that's how it works for me as well. If I'm gonna use something, that I need to know exactly how it's gonna work, if it's safe, who tried it and everything. So I'm gonna share more content regarding oral splints with you, but for now this is gonna be everything for this video, and I will see you in the next one.
Living life every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days.